So I had a lot of stuff, and I got a lot of practice finding new homes for my things. I had these things, I had this great desk. It was this teak desk. It was laminated teak. It'll last 1,000 years, I'm sure, but there just was no room for it. It was just too big. But I found a good home for that and lots of other things. But one thing that was really embedded in me in California was recycling and environmental sensitivity. And so when I moved here, we didn't have a recycling program at our condo. And I thought, that's just crazy. I felt like I had gone back in time, like 30 years or so. So I went to a board meeting, asked to speak. Hello. Shall I start over?
No, sorry, I'm late.
Oh, that's okay. You're probably the only one on time.
You're just 1 minute late. You're
Good evening.
excused.
I'm Paul.
I'm Jerry.
Jerry?
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Likewise. Got a couple of seats over here. If you like
Thank you.
a comfy chair, that's available as well. So I went to a board meeting and I said, can we do these things? Can we, do some, recycling, maybe do organics, collect hazardous waste, get a container for that? They said, well, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't you do that? And so I said, okay. And I'm not sure if anybody else is, but I found out that Toronto has 3 R's ambassadors, official 3 R's ambassadors. I see lots of heads going up and down. That's great. And so I took the training and it was fun. And as I was coming home from one of the training sessions, and on the side of the road, I saw some metal shelving. So I stopped, threw them in my van. Hi, I'm Paul.
Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're not at all. May I ask your name?
Karen.
Karen. Oh, you're stuck with Pat and Ruth.
Yeah,
there's-
one of the trees.
That's what happens when you come late. Not as many chairs left. How many?
60.
Wow, so you met when you were born.
Exactly.
Cool. I have some friends like that. A glint. Uh-huh. So I saw these shelves on the side of the road. I picked them up, spray painted them blue, and put them in our recycling room and added reuse shelves. And those reuse shelves have been one of the most popular things in our building. There are people that'll go down there twice a day just to see what new stuff has appeared on the shelf. And as a matter of fact, yesterday I saw something that I'd been thinking about. And you know how it is when you feel like you want something or you need something, and then it magically appears.
What was it?
So this was a lid. Our rice cooker, the handle had broken down. It's, I don't know, 35 years old or so. And the handle was plastic and had just degraded to the point where it was falling apart. So there was this brand new lid sitting there with no pot or pan to it. And I took the handle and put it on the rice cooker, and it looks like new again. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Good, I'm Paul.
Hi, Alejandra.
Alejandra. María.
Yes.
¿Hablas español también?
Yes.
Oh, bueno, podemos hablar un poco más tarde, ¿sí?
Sí, claro.
Aquí no,
Finally, finally.
no tengo ninguna oportunidad a practicar hablar aquí. Todos hablan francés o otros idiomas, pero prefiero español mejor.
Sí, claro, podemos practicar después.
Okay. Oh, nice to meet you all. I was just explaining how I ended up here, and I'm almost to that point. But I started as a recycling ambassador, and after a year of the training and getting that all going, I had other ideas, and I brought them to the board as well. And it was time for our AGM. So they said, "Hey, you're retired. You have lots of good ideas. You seem to have energy. Why don't you run for the board?" And I said, okay. And I did. I thought, well, these people have some experience, so I'll just come in and I'll learn how things work. But I didn't get to learn much. They said, "Oh, well, you're new here. Why don't you be president?" I said, "Well, don't you want somebody with some experience, a little experience?" And they said, "Well, you have as little as anyone." So I ended up being president for 12 years and retired a little over. I resigned a little over a year ago. It was a year in December, because there were things happening that I couldn't control anymore, and couldn't support several ideas. Oh, another county heard from. Oh, you brought the snacks, right?
Sorry about that.
There's other seats up here. Oh, get the comfy ones. Yeah. I'm Paul.
Hi, Paul. I'm Laurel.
Laurel. Are you a member of this cohort in the back with Pat and Ruth?
Hi. I'm meeting you
And
all
Maria?
for the first time.
I find that hard to believe. So I ended up on the board of directors, and that is the place where a building has the most. You have the most control over the most resources to affect people's lives, in the building. And since I had come from this California background and this, environmentally sensitive. Hello, there's a seat up here, and we can get a couple more if this is too close to the speaker.
He likes to volunteer anyhow. So.
Yeah?
I did.
Uh-oh.
You won't have a hard time remembering his name.
Hi, Paul. Paul.
Oh, yes, Paul Honis. Hi.
Yes.
Glad to meet you.
Even if you forget everyone else's.
Indeed.
You're not allowed to forget
Hi,
yours.
David.
So this environmental, sensitivity came, all throughout my life from doing things like being in the Boy Scouts, and going camping. When you have a relationship with nature, and you're out there hiking, in a beautiful, pristine area, and you come across a discarded gum wrapper. I mean, even a little thing like that, just would jump out at me and annoy me. I mean, why would somebody do that? And a friend coined a term. She calls it micro trash. A lot of people will pick up their bottles or other stuff, but not worry about just like the little string around a gum wrapper or things like that. But for one reason or another, several of us had sensitivity and would go out and do cleanup days, clean up the creeks or the shore there. And it was very well organized and got a lot done. But I came here and there didn't seem to be a whole lot of that going on. So from 3R's ambassador to being president of our board, my background intention was to try and move things in the direction of climate sensitivity, climate action. How I'm not worried about the planet. I think the planet's going to be fine. But a lot of my friends and relatives are humans, and it's the humans that are going to suffer. The planet has adapted many times to a wide variety of conditions. But what we want to do, what many of us want to do, and the reason I expect that you're here, is that you feel that there are things that we can do and that need to be done. Do I need to convince anybody that we have those issues, we have environmental issues, and that climate action is important? Well, if I need to convince anybody, I'm going to stick Judith on them. or should I call you Tigger? I'm not sure if I should call you Tigger or what was the other one? No, Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
The one that's bouncing around and you see everywhere. There was
That would be Judith.
Yes.
You know that's what we're going to call you now, Judith.
Yeah, now you have a nickname, Judith.
Because I've been seeing Judith all over the place. I had seen her a number of times before, and we'd apparently been to places in the past we didn't know, but our paths have crossed many times. And we really started hanging out more once we started attending the climate action roundtables that were initiated and sponsored by Lily Cheng's office after she got into office. And it was one of the first things that she did when she got into office over 2 years ago. And Judith has been at all of these things, and I don't know how many organizations she's in, but probably almost as many as Maddie. I'm not sure. Between the two of you, I think there are very few organizations of this nature that aren't represented by the two of you. And I really appreciate and thank you guys for what you do. And happy to have made your acquaintance, because we've gotten together and done some other things, which I'll get into a little further down in the talk. But
Paul, you just asked a quick question.
Sure.
You said, I'm sure none of you have any issues with climate change or seeing it as a problem. So quick question, maybe you address it at the end, but I have some people, young people, 29, 39-year-olds, who believe climate change is a hoax. So maybe you could just give us a couple of points, other than talking to Judith, which I can, like maybe from your experience, how do you reach people who are so down the rabbit hole? And obviously this crowd, I'm sure, is not, but they might be, so how do you, but maybe later on in your speech, if you want to take away from your speech.
yeah,
Or presentation, I should say.
that is kind of a rabbit hole, and it's something that I considered addressing here, but I would have addressed that at the beginning, but I felt like there was so much we could
No, so
we could
fine,
cover.
that's fine. I can talk to Judith later.
Yes, but since you brought it up, I'm happy to take questions or welcome comments at any time. I want this to be a conversation. I'm not a talking head. I'm not even standing in front of the room. I'm sitting with you all. We're all at the same level. And I'm sure that everybody will have something to contribute.
So we haven't met. I'm Anna. So do you live in the building?
No, I live up by Finch.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And so you moved back to Toronto from California?
No, I moved to Toronto for the first time in 2010. I'm from the U.S.
Oh,
So you're a
I see,
US
okay.
citizen?
Yes.
Okay, so 2010,
Yes.
okay.
Uh-huh.
You're a refugee then.
Yes, I'm
Or
sure
an
glad I got
asylum-
here in
or an
time
asylum
to get
seeker.
her can. Kind of both, yes. Hello, you gotta see, whoop, watch out,
Yeah.
which chair do you want, that one or this one?
This
Okay,
Patricia was the one that said we should have waste management, and she's here, hooray!
hi, Patricia?
Yes.
Yes, I'm Paul. Pleased to meet you, welcome. So, there are some really good websites that talk about dealing with people who are in denial.
Okay.
I'm one of them. Totally.
So you don't feel that
No such thing as climate change that's caused by mankind. Yes, there's climate change caused by nature, but nothing that we've done in the last 100, 200 years through industry has caused, anything major.
If I can just
There's
add,
plenty of scientists that believe that.
That's true.
if I can just add a point to that, my belief in climate change a little bit aligns with what you said. Regardless of whether
Humans have
human
contributed.
caused or nature caused, my big issue is everybody says it's a freaking disaster that's going to happen next week, tomorrow. I mean, how many times have we heard that the Gulf Stream is going to shut down and everything is going to freeze up? We keep hearing these warnings that something is going to happen in the next 5 years, something in the next 10 years. I don't think it's as much as a disaster as anybody makes it out to be, regardless of the source or if there is. And my feeling is also that, in fact, if it's getting a little bit warmer, which
We're in this week.
may or some people may or may not believe, that is also to some people a good thing, because it affects the way, some agriculture grows. More people die from the cold than the heat, and you can, so the arguments that you can see, newspapers, online articles, scientists, I mean, you're going to go either way on that, and
I've been exposed
Yeah.
to a great deal of that, and
I'm
read
sure you
about
have,
it.
yeah.
And I read a lot of science fiction throughout my life, and there were stories about this stuff years ago. Kim Stanley Robinson did a series of books on this sort of stuff, and he's one of those science writers that researches things for years before he starts to write about it. And I've been very impressed with the technical accuracy. And I'm not going to try to convince anybody of anything, but I will say that I have a science background. I majored in physics. I didn't complete the degree. I had to go out and earn a living in order to survive, so I had to drop out eventually. But I have a strong background in physics and the sciences, and I've read a great deal. And everybody, is exposed to different materials, and your opinion is formed not only from what you read, but what you experience, what you see, and what you hear of friends and people around the world. I have friends all over the place. And for me, personally, I have no question that things have changed, and that they seem to be changing in the direction of wider extremes. We just had the heaviest amount of snowfall in a month, and in one snowfall at Pearson Airport that last week. So that's an extreme point, and it hasn't been that's based on records that have been kept since 1936. So it's not 100 years of data, but it's a significant chunk of time. So that's just one point. And I feel like I'm bombarded with information about this, because once you start looking for things, then you tend to see, like if you buy a blue Ford Focus, well, once you buy a blue Ford Focus, then you see them everywhere, right? But I felt like once I started reading about different things, like if you look on Facebook or anywhere online, you tend to see what you look for. The search algorithms are going to show you what you're looking
Absolutely.
for. So I try to do things incognito, so that it doesn't have a profile of what I'm looking for. For example, if you're a Republican and you look at Republican websites, it's going to show you more Republican. If you're a Democrat, it'll show you that. I'm using that.
The algorithms.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I worked in the computer field for my whole career, and I have a pretty good understanding of how the algorithms are developed and how they work. I worked on some of those in the early 90s. And I'm both afraid and cautiously optimistic about what we can do with it. The problem is that every time I'm optimistic about something, it turns out that it veers off in the direction of profit instead of for the good of humanity. So I don't want to go there. But the important thing is that everybody form an opinion, whatever information that you have, and feel free to express it, to talk about it. I have friends that are, radically off in different directions, and we have some of the best arguments, but we've known each other for a big chunk of our lives. It doesn't matter. We still love each other. We still like going for Mexican food, and as long as they appreciate my guac, I'm okay with that. But it's important to gather this stuff. So yeah, dealing with people who are not. It's important that I saw a great article. I think I have it, and I could forward it to Judith. Maybe she could share it. And it was somebody wanted to present. It's a chef in California. Laura something. Last name begins with an S. And she was writing an article about teaching boys to cook. And she wanted to write an article that wouldn't offend boys or make them feel like, oh, that's a woman's thing, or that's a sissy thing, or that's not important. And she collected information and opinions, and the things that she came up with to present this to boys, that cooking to boys, applies to lots of things like this. To not make people feel like their opinion, to poo-poo things, to seriously consider it, and to listen. Listening's the hard part for most people.
Considering that the top well-known chefs are all men, I don't see how that is an issue.
Ah, yes.
But it is. There's a bias against.
That's a good point. I think I saw that one in there. But Laura has been teaching classes for years. She does these events at high-tech companies, does cooking shows and things like that. But
sometimes we invent things to get business where there isn't a point to start with.
Right. Well, Paul?
I was just going to say that you spoke some minutes ago about going to a beautiful natural site and seeing it degraded by micro trash. And in a sense, the discussion of the last few minutes is a digression, because you could be the biggest climate skeptic in the world and still be disgusted by that, and still not believe that the world should be treated as a toilet, and be just as disgusted by a dirty, smelly river. So
I agree.
Yeah, you don't poop in your own bed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you must have read ahead in what I wrote, because that's one of the points that I wanted to make. Whether you believe in something or not, there are effects that you can see, or things that we can do that will not only address climate. That can be a side effect, but that doesn't have to be the main article. That could be a side effect. But some of the things that we can do can contribute tremendously to quality of life, not just for us individually, but for our building, our neighborhood, our city, the rest of the world. When I was 14, I thought that my honeymoon was actually going to be on the moon. I thought we'd be in space by then. And that could have been great. That didn't happen, but it could have. And if we had spent the resources that we have spent on war to make progress instead and work together on things, we could do anything. There's so much we could do. Even whether there is climate change or not, if we had those resources now, we could fund the studies, find out what the extent of any of these problems. We could have cured cancer 20 years ago. There are so many things that we can do. And one of the points that I wanted to make was that a lot of people that I run into or I talk to say, well, why should I do anything? I'm one person. I'm not going to have any effect on cleaning up this stream if I just pick up one candy wrapper. But it does. Every little bit helps. So here's the example that worked for me. And that was after I moved to California, I got busy. I was having a great time. And I quit calling my mom every week. I didn't call her for like 5 weeks. And I started feeling guilty. And I thought, well, I don't want to call. I feel guilty. And the more I didn't, the worse it was. The harder it was to call. But all you have to do is, maybe this is a better example. So when I called, it was okay. Better example maybe is like exercise. I say, oh man, I should be exercising. Okay, this is one might be more people will identify with, because you're probably all good at talking to your relatives. And
Most of us.
I'm not sure how good we are at exercise.
I will hold you to that. So there are times I get busy and I say, oh man, I didn't do my routine today, I should have done this. But all I have to do is get down and do, like 10 push-ups or 10 sit-ups, just a couple of this. I don't have to do, the whole hour workout, but just doing the one thing, that guilt goes back in the closet, So doing just one thing. And for me, all these things sort of came together, the love of the environment, going out there. I want to go out and in the Boy Scouts you learn, you leave a place as clean as it was when you got there, or cleaner, or better. And that idea of making it even better, I thought, wow, that'd be cool. And that's how I want my life to go. I want to leave my relationships, the people, the place, a little better than I found it. So that's the Boy Scout talking. It's also the 3 R's ambassador talking. It's also president of a board of directors who had a lot of influence on decisions that affected a large number of people. So we have 311 units. So that was about 574 people in the building at the time that I started there. And it's kind of like being, the principal at a school, or the head of a corporation. What is your objective? You want to make long-term decisions that will be best for all the people under your domain, or that are your responsibility, right? You want a place to be profitable, but you don't want to suck every last bit of energy out of somebody and throw them away. You treat people like valuable resources, because they are the most valuable resource in a corporation. And it's the same thing when you're working on a condo. Every individual has a stake in your corporation, and you're responsible for their the biggest investment that they have is probably their home, for 90% of the people that are in condos. And that's a huge responsibility, but it's also a privilege. And the responsibility to make decisions for the longevity of the building, long-term investment value, is another reason that I tried to move in this direction. So not just for climate, but for the sake of efficiency. There are so many things that you can do in buildings. And I know I'm going to get to the waste management side of this. I promise. I promised Judith that I would. But making long-term strategic decisions can be rewarding for one, but it can you can actually make things cheaper, and finance other things that you want to do. So I'll use one example. Our building originally had fluorescent lighting all through the hallways and all through the 3 parking levels. So they were these big T25 tubes, which took like 32 watts of energy for each one. And there were hundreds and hundreds of these throughout the building. Well, hey, LEDs were coming along, but they were still pretty expensive back then. So we found that we could cut the energy down by half. And energy is one of the most significant costs that a building has, probably the biggest single cost that this building has, right? It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for hydro. So anything that you can save there goes directly to the bottom line. So what we did was we replaced the tubes, those T25s, with T8s. They were less expensive, much less expensive, and they used less than half of the energy that the old ones did, and produced more light. So it was like win, win, win all along. And after, I think it was 16 months, that had paid for itself. So from there on, the cost of doing that initial installation had been made up in the hydro savings. We'd saved, you know, like cut down on 15% of our hydro, bless you.
Thank you.
And so we used that to fund the next phase of energy efficiency in the building, which meant more, you know, switching to LEDs elsewhere. And we ended up coming back later on after we had really gotten the life out of this batch of T8s, including the rebate, and went with LED tubes that are repairable and easily replaceable. And that cut the energy costs down as well. So now we have nice lighting. This light has sensors in it, so they're activated when you go. They're also programmable. You can say, oh, we want this one on all the time, or we want it to, you know, come down to a standby level of 3 watts or 6 watts or whatever, depending on the area and the application. So we've improved the flexibility of the environment. Excuse me, we've cut altogether like 25% of the hydro cost for the building, which we can use for the EV stuff that's coming along, if we decide to go that way. And so people are both more comfortable, and it's kept maintenance costs down a little bit.
So how old is your building?
22 years now.
22. So individual units, do they have individual thermostats that control, like?
Yeah, fan coils, standard fan coils.
But people aren't charged individually for their heat, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
No, there had been attempts to try and put individual metering on units,
Right.
but generally, I am not in favor of that for condos for a variety of reasons. The responsibility that people take for themselves isn't going to change. People are going to do that or not, and generally the people that aren't interested, you know, feel that they can afford to waste energy, then
You don't think though that even if you had a few people, say you had 25% of the people that were interested, you know, in managing, you know, doing night setbacks or whatever. I mean, I see that as an issue in this building because there's no incentive for people to adjust their thermostats. You know, okay, maybe you could get a sweater instead of turning the thermostat up. There's no connection between, you know, the heat that's blowing out and what it's actually costing you as an individual. Obviously, it does ultimately.
but it's
in your
removed.
in
Yeah.
your maintenance fees, but there's not a direct connection between what I'm doing, you know, in my day-to-day life. I'm sure it's very challenging. I don't know the engineering side of it, but I'm guessing it wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, there are costs. Engineering's not really all that difficult, but this is something that I was going to mention a little later, and that is individually, you know, we can have certain effects, but when you get a group of people, like-minded people, who feel that something is important, like this, then there is so much more energy behind it. That it can be so much more effective by establishing a community, right? Mr. Tree Guy? Yeah. So
The other thing, did you look at, say, solar panels on the roof or anything like that? For even just heating the water?
yes. I don't want to spend too much time on the condo stuff, but
Okay, sorry, I didn't, you know.
but that's okay. I'm not in any hurry to get anywhere, and I tend to stay up late. So you can just wander off anytime you feel it.
Well, I'm just trying to think
time.
of things that we could do individually in the condo. Maybe I misunderstood the direction of your talk. Carry on with what you were gonna say.
Yeah, you know,
So-
just a note here. Like some of us will have to leave early, so if you can get into sort of the subject that
Was
you
intended.
meant to talk about, which is waste management, and maybe have people ask questions on other things later, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
I personally have to leave by 8.
25 minutes. Okay, I'll talk faster. So what I had told Judith was that have trouble separating waste management from the larger perspective, which includes what you could call climate action, but these issues at a larger scale. And that's really all I'm talking about. So how do we get waste? Where does waste come from? We buy it ourselves, don't we? We go out and we're buying waste every day. But what waste are we buying? The waste is the packaging around the food that we buy. Yeah, so packaging is huge. I couldn't believe when I saw that Metro started individually shrink wrapping, what was it, cucumbers.
What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, the English cucumbers, they've done that for a while, but I remember the first time I saw one wrapped like that, and I thought, okay, well, yeah, that might keep it a little bit fresher, but then what's happening with all this plastic? So the whole thing about waste management is what's being addressed in Toronto now and many other cities, and this is the circular economy. How do we reduce waste? Well, why would we have to? Well, we're running out of landfill, for one. It's a cost not only to deal with this stuff, but there are health costs. There have been environmental issues from different kinds of waste, and the bottom line is that dealing with waste or reducing waste is similar to this energy saving project that I was talking about. You know, by taking certain steps, we can afford to do other things that saves us more in the long run, and eventually we can have our honeymoon on the moon. Not anyone in particular, but we are choosing the waste ourselves. And in our lives is where we have the most direct control of what we purchase, right? So when you go to the store, if you see something that's wrapped versus not wrapped, well, is packaging an issue for you? Well, then you don't buy the one that has the additional packaging on it, if you're sensitive to that. It could be something as simple as now, I think pretty ubiquitous that most stores are putting, red maple leaf on products that are from Canada. There was a study, I think it was done in 2006. I think it was 2006, and the distance that the average person's dinner had traveled was like 1,764 miles. I remember that number. You have to convert it to kilometers, sorry, I'm one of these ignorant Americans. But that's a cost that's hidden. The transportation costs, how much gasoline got in, did that truck need to transport that load of tomatoes from here to there, or on this boat from here to here? There's hidden costs, and if we saw the true cost of a lot of these things, if it was obvious, great. Now, having that maple leaf on our products now is a very good, simple example of that. We know this stuff is at least from Canada, right? And aside, pride or whatever issues aside, just the total carbon cost, which is a way of looking at the energy cost of something, is much easier to determine, on a big scale. People don't want to have to think too much. Oh, let's see, if this came from Albuquerque, it would cost this much. Okay, if it came from Calgary, it would cost only this. Well, people don't want to have to stop and figure those things out.
But it's more complicated than that, because it maybe the cost of production is less in Albuquerque. I mean, I'm not buying from the US, so it's not just the transportation costs. You've got efficiencies in different locations that also definitely affect the cost of the consumer and may actually affect the cost of production of that particular item.
Yeah, there's lots of costs like that, and perfectly evenly distributed. Well, they're also perfectly evenly destroyed when a bacteria or a parasite or some insect decides that, oh, that looks tasty, and whole crops can be wiped out. So we're getting to a point of extreme agricultural sensitivity to things. And as we've seen, you know, the population goes up, the demand for food goes up. Well, the fish supply, there are fish that we won't see anymore on the table. Cod was, you know, tremendously popular and plentiful for years, and then you know what happened with that. So yes, there's production costs, but I was using transportation because it was a good introduction into something called the 100-mile diet. Okay, so we'll make it the 160-kilometer diet. and this was an attempt to try and provide, to get all your food from within a certain radius of where you lived. And the reason for that was because it had the most dramatic effect on decreasing the amount of waste that went into transporting or packaging. So if you get things fairly locally, it's more likely that you can get things from farmers markets or go out and pick your own apples. Has anybody ever done that? I do that pretty much every year. In fact, I still have some left in the fridge. And it's sort of a science experiment, but they're still doing okay. But this ability to find most of the food that you need in a fairly local area is one of the things that we can do to have less impact on the environment. It's generally healthier. It's often cheaper, and you can get exercise going out and doing that too. So you don't have to go to Good Life or something. You know, just going out and getting your food and preparing it.
So Paul, we can have our grapes in the autumn and our wine in the winter.
Yeah, I like how you think.
And you're also supporting local communities if you gotta get local.
Right. So that's sort of the tangent that I'm going off here. That is, we have the most impact or most control over what happens in our home. Groups like this, you can have an influence and have an impact on your building to make some choices, similar choices. You know, about how to deal with the waste once it's generated. Having a reuse shelf, having organic recycling. Do you have organic recycling?
Yeah.
Okay. There are buildings that still don't. And organics is like a full third of the stuff that ends up going in garbage into landfill. Our current landfill was called Green Lane. Is going to run out of space by 2034.
10 years.
Yeah, and 10 years, 10 years, it's a long time. Well, we've all been around here a lot longer than 10 years, and it can go by like that. And they're trying to do other things, but the city has recognized that waste management is a critical issue. We were shipping it over to Michigan.
Yes, that was
For
10 years ago.
a while, yeah. But now, that's just, so that was shifting the problem elsewhere. Dealing with the problem more directly is most effectively addressed by something that's called a circular economy. Our new the company Circular is now managing waste for all of Ontario now. So as of January 1st, you probably saw this in your mail, some of the handouts, that the Circular is now accepting more things that we didn't before. So things like black plastic can go, instead of into the landfill, it can go into recycling now. And that was because they're processing it differently. If you're ever interested in finding out, you can see the 3 R's, find the 3 R's information, and there's videos on the sorting system that's there. And the reason we couldn't use black plastic is because the conveyor belt that things were moving over was black. And the intelligent cameras with the little jets that would puff things off into the appropriate bins couldn't distinguish between
that's
black plastic containers and the conveyor belt. So it's going to a different system now, and they'll be able to deal with those. It's kind of labor intensive, but sometimes you need some intelligence to make decisions about things. And maybe that's something AI can do at some point, but.
I was thinking too that with the circular materials thing, the idea is that the producer or not the consumer is paying for it, but the whoever's doing all that packaging will have to pay for it. And so that is an incentive for those corporations or whoever it is to not package so much, because they're paying for it. We were paying for it before with our garbage, so
Well,
that's a
they're
good
probably
thing.
doing it to a certain degree because there hasn't been enough pushback. You know, nobody likes to open all those clamshell things, but it's an expectation that that's what the public wants. I mean, especially when it comes to food. So I'm not sure, you know, it's not just the corporate problem, but, you know.
A cultural one.
Yeah, it's a cultural one, and then the government gets involved, and I think a good example in my mind is like the plastic bags. So now we don't have plastic bags at the grocery store, but how many of us have an inventory of those other bags? And so where do they go? And at some point, it's like I sneak down to the garbage room and I throw them out because I don't want them. So like there's a policy that kind of got screwed up as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's because people still, we all do, go to the grocery store because it's so easy. Longo's is right there. We don't think about bringing the extra bag. And whereas if I was maybe in a rural community and such, I would be, wow, this is grocery day, so I have to make sure I have my equipment, my bags or whatever. It's a part of city living, which
Oh,
is
no, it's
more
not,
accepted.
Judith. It's everybody's living. I mean, it doesn't matter where you live. You know, if you don't, I mean, every grocery store doesn't matter whether you're in Yorkton, Saskatchewan or Toronto. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in Saskatchewan. I can't assume it's the same as Ontario. But I remember back before they changed the laws, you know, when they first got rid of plastic bags and everybody kind of got into the routine of bringing their own bags. And I think it's really at the cashier, instead of charging 5 cents, charge $1. And everybody has to keep paying $1. Sooner or later, they will bring their own bags. Because I mean, I was in the habit, and I still carry my own bags, but I think it needs to be such a disincentive that people,
Yeah.
you know,
Make it onerous enough and people.
make
That's
it
right.
onerous enough that people
Uh-huh.
get with the program.
Yeah, your awareness, it's an awareness thing. Your awareness will click pretty fast when
Yeah.
you have to pay
Yeah,
$1
you worked in
back.
marketing, didn't you?
No, I'm an engineer.
Uh-huh. And I lived in Virginia. I lived out in the country, and when I always had my backpack in my '66 Beetle with me. And when I go into the store, my backpack was there. It didn't even come to mind. Yeah, when I'd use one of the little plastic bags now and then, but everything went in the pack. And
The other thing
Didn't
about
think
the
of that.
new bags, I take mine, like I've got tons, just like you, Jerry. I take them to the thrift stores, they want them now.
Oh, do
For
they?
their packaging of,
Oh, okay.
items that people are buying, so that's the upcycling part of it, I
Is this
guess.
Value Village or is it the Salvation Army that's taking
Any number
bags?
of them will
Oh,
do
okay.
it, yeah.
Yeah, because we got tons.
Yeah.
But I mean, there should be an opportunity to recycle them at
Yeah.
the grocery store. That's a logical
Yeah.
place that they go.
I think I've seen it, I don't know where, but I feel like I have seen it.
Anyhow, I just think it's created this is my little soapbox, but I just think it's created another problem.
soapbox. That's another thing we don't have anymore. We had boxes. You could use that soapbox and make a go-kart out of it. You could use it for other things. I'm saying that lightly, but that's because one of the things that we're doing, we've started in August, that came out of the climate action talks, is something called Repair Cafe. Has anybody
Yes.
heard about these?
Yeah.
Oh, I see lots of heads going up and down.
It's a Judith.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. So you guys have an
And
advantage.
Maddie.
You have a Judith and a Maddie.
There was one here.
Not long ago.
Yeah.
At the library, yeah.
January
They've been
10th,
going
yeah, that was
Yeah.
the last time.
Yes, yes, some of us have been involved with them.
Both Maddie
Yeah,
and,
we are involved.
and Paul are big time repair cafe people.
I love fixing things.
They're
And-
harder and harder to fix though, the way they make them.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, man.
Just one example of that was a lady that brought in a kettle that she'd had she'd had since the 60s. And all we had to do was replace a fuse and resolder 2 wires, good as new. It'll work for another 50 years. And then a woman had brought in a pot that had controls on it. You could set a timer and it had a clock and other things. And there had been a power surge, and the power surge blew out the chip. You could see a hole in the chip. It had actually blown it out. You can't replace the chip. So all of that, the plastic, the metal, and all that had to go into waste. Did you see
No, I
that one?
didn't see that one.
Yeah. So we had a couple of those. And so this is one of the angles on waste, and that is the ability to repair things can make a huge difference in the cost of a product. So the energy cost of a product, most of that, it goes in when an item is manufactured. There's a lot of energy that goes into materials, extraction, processing, refining, all that, forming it into the finished product. After that, that energy is used, and it lasts for, the product lasts for, let's say, 10 years. Well, so 1/10 of that energy cost per year. Well, if the product lasts, 20 years, well, that's cutting down the yearly cost, energy cost of that. It's amortizing it over a much longer period of time. So fixing things, repairing them, getting them back has multiple benefits. Keeps things out of landfill. The energy cost cuts down the greenhouse gas emissions. And regardless of how you feel about things, our city has a target of net zero greenhouse gas emissions. And to help the city along with that, things like repair cafes have been springing up and are popular because they keep things out of landfill, they cut the energy cost, and there's other benefits that might not be immediately obvious. And that is, oh man, this is the clock that my parents gave me when I graduated from high school, and it quit working. Well, a lady brought one in, the second repair cafe, and she said, I don't know if there's anything you can do, but it turned out it was a pretty easy fix. And she had tears come to her eyes. And at the end of the cafe, when something is fixed, we started something. It's called it's the cowbell. So we have a white cowbell with a maple leaf on the side, and if something is fixed, you can ring that cowbell as much as you want as you're going through the exit processing. And there are people that are in tears or laughing or joyful because this thing that they love, that they've invested in, has been fixed, and it can last a while longer.
It's like a version of Yes to the Dress, and then
Yes to
when the
the.
bride gets her dress and they ring the bell.
Yeah.
My daughter, they just got married, my son, and apparently when you get the right dress, you ring the bell. So when you get the right product that's
Ah.
prepared, they ring the bell.
I didn't know that.
But the ring
It's
of
called
the,
Yes to the Dress.
the ring of
Okay.
the bell for the dress is chinka chink, chinka chink, chinka chink, because of the money.
But
Oh,
you
that's
know, like repair cafes are for small items, and the biggest problem is those big appliances.
Mhm.
And
Like
the
a fridge.
cost of repairing appliances in Canada makes it unworth of people's money, because it almost costs less to buy a new appliance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we do
It
have
does.
a problem here in terms of cost of repair.
That is planned obsolescence. Make things
Correct.
cheaper so that you have to buy a new one.
Right.
There are companies that went out of business because they made products that were too good. They lasted forever, and
Yeah.
once the population was saturated with this
Yeah.
this screwdriver or saw or whatever they made, the demand just dropped way off.
Yeah, right.
The challenge is because I've just been through this with big appliances. So my washing machine pooched, and I looked online, so what's the average life of a washing machine now? So it's about 7 or 8 years. And it's like, well, that's depressing. And I'd already had it repaired once, which cost me $300. So do I bring somebody in, which is gonna cost me $100 just for them to come through the door?
If you can get the parts.
Well,
That
no,
too.
no, it's not that old of a machine. But it is, you know, to Nyla's point, it's depressing because and then I had an issue with my stove. So it's Boxing Day sales, and I could buy 2 appliances.
For the price of one.
For the price of one. And you ask the guy, so where is it produced? Well, Mexico or China. So you could get the part in Toronto for maybe my washing machine, I'm sure you probably could, or my stove. But it's the cost of labor. It's not necessarily the cost of it's not the cost of the component. So how you know, that's a globalization, and things are produced somewhere else at much lower labor costs.
It's not, Jerry. I lived in other countries, and it's never been that costly to repair items as much as it is in Canada. There are things in Canada that cost outrageously more than other countries, including dentistry work, but also fixing of appliances.
Well, the bottom line now, it is the cost of labor. So if you know, and we live in a developed country where the guy that fixes my washing machine wants to be able to feed his kids. He's living in Toronto, and he's paying $2,500 a month for rent. He's got to charge me more than he's going to charge in Mexico. You know, and that's, you know, that's a challenge.
Yeah. It sounds like you had some experience with this recently, Nyla?
No, I gave up on
You threw it out.
getting fixed. Yeah, I usually get like 5-year guarantee to have a little bit of peace of mind when I buy an appliance and negotiate on the price of the guarantee, which is easy to do, so that people know you can really get a provider to give you a cheap 5-year warranties.
You know, this also brings up a related topic of what's called the right to repair. And you find that a lot of companies make it very difficult for people to do some simple repairs on their own because A, they may not be able to get parts, and B, they don't have the user instructions or the manuals on how to repair or fix that stuff. It's a very serious issue that's making some headway in the United States. There's a bunch of states that have introduced right to repair laws.
I think 24 of them last.
Yeah,
year.
but it's a serious problem. The related problem, of course, is that everything seems to be very much more complicated. And you gave the example of the chip that
teapot.
blew out. And I have a dishwasher that I've had a couple people come in, and you know, it's the dishwasher was there before I moved in, but you know, it's a relatively modern electronic type of device, and just can't get the parts to fix it because it's a whole circuit board that has to go out, that has to be repaired.
Right.
So you can use your hands in your sink.
That's what I do.
You got a backup. Huh?
That's what I do for just myself in the unit, for my 3 plates a day and knife and fork, and I can do that by my freaking self.
Yeah, but the machine has still to be thrown away, right? So
Well, it's sitting there, and whenever I sell the place, I'll give the person who's coming in a choice. You can go pick yours, or I will go pick a cheap one.
You know, a lot of people store things in their dishwasher. They don't use it.
I have a daughter-in-law like that.
Yeah.
Gave me hell when I tried to run it through the cycle.
What? You want to wash something?
You
in
want to
there?
use the dishwasher?
Uh-huh. So those are 2 good points. One, even if you are environmentally sensitive or you want things to last, you also have to be able to afford to make some of those decisions. You know, for example, after a friend heard that I was working this repair cafe, he said, "Hey, I can't bring my stove in, but maybe you could help me." And so took a look at it, and It's a $5,000 in-wall double oven, and the control board is what the problem is, and it's not discrete components. You know, it's a couple of chips, and you know, the pinouts and stuff in that are proprietary. They're not going to tell you what these custom chips, and some of it is, you know, programmable, and you can't deal with most of those. Some you can, but the question was, should I pay $2,000 to fix this one, or should I, you know, buy a new one? You know, for $3,000 more. This one has lasted me 15 years.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, so I got my money's worth out of this, is what he said. He said, okay, that's up to you. If you want to fix something, you know, it's a gamble. Can I afford to gamble? And if you have a family, you know, if you're going to school, you know, if your money's tight, you're going to go with the cheapest approach, right? Long term is for people who can afford it. Short-term decisions are driven by financial necessity. But the other aspect is, now, what do I do with this thing? What happens to it afterward? Well, Toronto has started doing something with building materials. Have you ever been out to Tommy Thompson Park, out to Leslie Spit out there? You know how you go to the beach and you can find crumbled up floor from that you would recognize from your school, you know, the little green and black aggregate rocks that are broken up. They're using those materials as landfill. Some of that, you know, is being reused, but there's more effort going in over the next few years, in particular, for repurposing or reusing materials. Construction materials is where the effort is being placed right now. So this is waste management at the city level. City manages and can deal with these constructions and require that certain things be done. There was a company that specializes in disassembling homes that are supposed to be demolished. Well, it's much cheaper to bring in a bulldozer, bulldoze it down, dump it in a truck, and dump it in a landfill. But some of the things, you know, in some of these old houses, you know, there's beautiful oak, you know, or the home I was in California was built in 1952, and when it was redoing the kitchen, we pulled up the floor, and underneath all that, there was this beautiful redwood 2x6 tongue and groove wood, and it was still pink. I don't see anything pink here. I'm surprised. I usually do, but it was as pink as the day it went in there, and just that wood would have been worth tens of thousands of dollars just in you know, the kitchen, dining room, living room area that we were redoing. And it was so beautiful, I was tempted to just, you know, sand it down, slap a coat of polyurethane on it so we could appreciate it, but we ended up putting another floor on top of it. But I know that's under there. And there's lots of resources like that in houses. So, you know, for example, you know, the price of copper went up 4 times it's 4 times the cost of what it was 10 years ago. And there's various reasons for that. But copper can be reused quite easily. People were stealing wiring out of buildings that were under construction, but old pipe and all that stuff is a very valuable resource because the cost, you know, it's like aluminum. The highest cost of it is initial extraction and refining of it to get the metal. Once you got the metal, you know, you're rounding third headed for home with that material. You've got lots to do, but it's, if you can afford to do the processing, if you can afford to take the time and pull that out. So here's a company that's doing that, and apparently it's profitable for them because some of these materials, you know, the materials themselves isn't costing this company anything, and they're able to sell them, you know, to different manufacturers.
doesn't everything almost in the way we're functioning goes down to cost? There was a documentary about Amazon's returns. So everything we return at Amazon, and they make it so easy to return things. Most of it is going to waste.
Mm.
So they're not reselling. It's the minority of thing that goes into resale. It's just going into apparently big grinders, and some of it in landfills.
Yeah, I'm sure none of that is toxic. Kidding.
I wonder if other people have any particular questions, because I'm just looking, it's about 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 8:07.
Ask Paul to talk about this, if there's anybody that has.
I have one particular question related to, and I haven't been able to get a good answer. Maybe you might have it. I mean, you get stuff from the city of Toronto. It says this is what their recycling plans. This is what's good to recycle. This is what you don't want to recycle. And a lot of that applies to residential households. What's different in a condo? I mean, is it the city of Toronto picking up my trash? Or is it a third party that's picking up my trash? It's the city.
Yes, it depends. Now everybody in Toronto is getting the same pickup. Everybody within the Greater Toronto. Yeah, within
So it's not a
city
third party company that's picking it up from here.
It is. It's another company. The company is circular. It's no longer the city that's doing it.
Okay.
But they are working with the producers to try and build this circular economy.
So that's only the recycling part.
That's
It's
right.
not the organics or the garbage. The
The
garbage.
city is still
Yeah,
all
that's
of the city is taking the like garbage as well as green part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those parties.
Yeah, but that applies to the condos too.
Yes.
I mean, if I look at what's getting picked up, in the big bins and stuff, these metal bins.
Yes.
It's a City Toronto, or it's a City Toronto truck.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah. I think that they have, they're contracting with other companies to do some of that work. I think GFL is one of the companies that they're using.
Yeah, you see their trucks.
Yeah, you've probably seen a lot of them, and they've been doing a lot of the stuff on the east side of Yonge. For some reason, there was this
Yeah,
division.
yeah.
Different things. Yeah.
Union versus or not.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but the nice thing about what's happening now is that the rules will be the same across the whole city. So whether you're in Scarborough or Pickering or whatever,
North York, same thing.
North York, yes, we're all on a level playing field now.
Can you comment on, I was at the Intercare Center and they have this, I think they're a pilot program, they have all the trash bins, that you see outside, the green, the recycle, the garbage. And there's a camera there and you just show them what you got.
Ah.
And it tells you where to put it.
Oh, that's so high tech.
Yeah. Apart, it'll tell you the lid goes here and the bottom goes here, kind of thing. It's really cool.
I hadn't heard of that.
I don't know anybody else that's doing it because that's the only place I've been. But it's an interesting program.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
that's a big problem, right? I mean, people just pull up stuff
Yeah.
wherever they feel it belongs, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, they don't take the time to read the things, because they're trying to put the posters there, but no one's saying, oh, I shouldn't put this, I shouldn't put that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is a great thing about the black plastic too now. That's a great thing because that's always been a pain to have to sort that out and put it in the garbage instead of the recycle bin, right?
Right. So there's that sort of a level, a little wall you have to get over, a little effort you have to make in order to do that. And that's what prevents a lot of people from doing recycling. Oh, I don't have time to sort or think or consult the TO waste wizard, about this stuff. That takes time. People are busy.
Throwing whatever.
Huh?
Throwing whatever they think is
Yeah,
correct.
so you got one chute, just put in a bag, throw it down there. A lot of people are happy, humans want to do things the easy way.
Easy way, yes.
I
So,
think though there's also not a real, and maybe you can talk to this, where does the stuff actually go? Like where do the organics go? When I put my stuff in the recycling bin, where does it actually go and what happens to it? I mean, there's a pretty persistent rumor out there that it actually just ends up in the landfill.
I've heard that,
Yeah.
yes.
So can you speak to that?
What I was going to do was I was going to forward these, the 3 Rs videos
Oh.
through Judith, because
Okay.
there's different ways to stream. Nice to meet you, Paul. Was it something I said?
No, gotta see my brother.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Is his name Dave?
No.
My brother's name. I thought that would be beyond coincidence. So, thanks for
Thanks,
coming.
Paul, very much.
Thank you, Paul. I have to leave as well. Thank you. I appreciate
You're my
that.
backup.
It wasn't-
Matty takes people out
Thank you so
on
much.
walks.
Yeah, he probably has
Richard
another,
walks all
he has
over
another
the
meeting,
place.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
he's an amazing guy.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I have a question about the organics. When I got my organics, they're in these compostable bags, but I see that everything goes there. There's all sorts of regular plastic bags in with it. How
Yeah.
is it sorted?
It's okay. Yeah, what happens,
Yeah.
and this is covered in these videos, the organics can be in different things. And what happens is, there's sort of a shredder that this stuff goes through. And
Thank you.
nice to meet you,
Nice
Nana.
meeting you too.
And Dream?
Daydream.
Oh, daydream.
Daydream. Don't tell me. Let me guess.
You're keeping your brain active too, I see.
Trying to, yes. So what happens is after that plastic, it's sort of combed out, you know, and the organic material goes through, and the plastic is combed out, it's washed, and it's baled. And the plastic goes to plastic recyclers, and it can be used in lots of products. Like you see this plastic wood. You know, there's cheap plastic wood, lawn chairs, things like that. And the problem is that people will put a compostable bag with organics in it into the organics. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Except the quality of the plastic has been coming through as we've gotten more compostable bags. Those are intended to degrade. Those should stay with the organic material, but they don't. The system wasn't able to distinguish that.
Actually, it's written, it was the first thing that was written in the organic that we were distributed. Use plastic bag.
Plastic bags, yes, not the
Yeah.
compostable ones.
So you
Yeah,
shouldn't
and
be
that's
using
compostable.
compostable.
Not for the organics.
Does that work well with the regular recyclable? Because you see black plastic in our recycle bin, so
As of January 1st, that's okay.
that's still okay to do that?
It's now okay, it wasn't before. The black plastic should have gone into garbage. It was going to landfill.
Correct.
But as of January 1st, the notices that you received.
This
these
thing
things-
said something about compostable
Yes.
bags
Yeah.
were okay to put in now. Okay.
Oh, I believe you.
No, but the compostable,
Yeah.
So we can use compostable
yeah,
bags?
it's in here somewhere, I read it, but I.
Yeah, so compostable anything can go into the garbage.
No, but I meant
No,
in the
It's
recycling.
compostable, why wouldn't it go in the green bin?
The organic.
That's the confusion, yes. Because the system that deals with organics shreds those bags and it mixes all that plastic.
I think we're losing people.
Yes, okay.
So I think we should
I
wrap
didn't
it
talk
up.
fast enough. did I?
Very.
No, you were,
Yeah.
so I think we should wrap it up, actually, yeah, so,
Yes.
yeah.
So I have a couple final points that I wanted to make, but as far as as far as compostable materials are concerned, this new handout shows you that compostable stuff goes to landfill, goes to garbage. It'll break down there.
Oh.
Yeah, because if it goes in with the organics, it's getting pulled out with the other plastics.
Okay.
And it decreases the quality of plastic, and it gets harder to sell lower quality plastic that comes out of there.
So what do you put your organics in?
Plastic. Like, you know,
If you can
we do
find
the
them.
bread bags. I mean, the old bread, our
Yeah.
bread bags. I use that for our
Yep,
compost.
same here, yep.
I always feel bad, but now I know that it was
But
fine.
you can't use, you know, the heavy plastic that the, say, peas or blueberries frozen come.
Oh, that one, that's.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, they're great bags if you clean them out and you can use them again and
Right,
again.
right.
Because they're that heavy, but they just go in the garbage.
Yeah, so if it's stretchy, you know, that'll work. You know, that's polyethylene typically, and the compostable stuff has starch and other things that are mixed with it so that it'll break down. So the compostable things could go into the organics, and I think, you know, somewhere down the line that's probably what'll happen. But all those organics, they get churned up, and there's two things that happen to them. One is there's a biogas generating site where they're
Mississauga.
using some of that, yeah, and then a lot of it goes into
Compost.
sort of a processing area, and then each year, like generally 2 times during the year, this compost is made available to the public to put back in your garden.
Manure, it comes out as like manure, type of manure.
It's not smelly.
It's smelly.
No, if something breaks down.
It's bagged and sold to the public, you said, okay.
Yes,
Interesting. Oh,
yeah,
that's-
at any of these environment
Yeah.
days, like over at Earl Hague or up at Center
Okay.
Point Mall, they'll give you 2 bags for free. And does anybody know where the John Mackenzie house is? Up here off of Doris on the right. Well, right associated with the John Mackenzie house is something called Parkview Neighborhood Garden.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Parkview Garden, we use organic techniques to grow things, and the city gives us extra bags, and we can get more of this stuff. And generally, it's pretty good. You know, it's not the highest quality. If you want good quality crap, you have to pay for it. But
Also, it was returned to the parks, to the city of Toronto. The compost was also given to the gardeners for the city of Toronto.
yes, yeah. So that's one more example. There are 2 things. One, we're talking about decreasing the amount of waste. Well, if you bring your own bag, you walk up the street, you know, you give somebody a little money, and they give you vegetables to put in your bag. There's the only waste is you know maybe the stem from the apple, or you know a couple of leaves off of that tomato or something. But they're minimal waste when you get things locally. And one thing that we can do on a city basis, there's something called a CSA. I don't know if you've ever seen these. Often buildings will set up to be a drop-off site for a CSA. And
What
that
does it stand for, CSA?
It stands for a community supported agriculture. So you can buy into this, and for a
Right.
certain amount a month, you'll get a box
Correct.
of vegetables,
Yeah.
whatever is in season at the time, you know, and it's.
Yeah, my girlfriend in King City, she calls it market share. So it's fascinating. So that's the thing. They share in all the locally grown.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and something that's really taken off in Montreal is, you know, growing season isn't that great around here. You know, we're zone 5, well, zone 6 a lot, but it's more into zone 5 as things have warmed over the past few decades. But the companies that are really taking off are the ones that are growing things inside these big old abandoned warehouses and stuff. They'll bring in LED lighting, which is very efficient. They're doing it hydroponically, so they're using water.
That's how they grow marijuana.
And light. And how would you know that?
Where's Dad when we need him?
He's watching the hockey game. I asked
And
him.
it's done vertically too.
Yes.
Yes, it is done
it's
vertically.
It's very efficient. I've had lettuce in February that was you know, as fresh as, you know, the
interest-
first batch of spring.
I like buying, and it all came from California or somewhere in the US, I'm assuming California, like the leaf, you know, the loose leaf lettuce that you buy. And now they're doing it in Canada, and I'm like, oh, it's probably somewhere in southern Ontario.
It's Alberta.
It's Calgary.
Yeah.
Calgary.
Ah.
So they obviously in
So,
Calgary
yeah.
in the wintertime, they're doing it in a greenhouse.
Is this Attitude?
I
I-
can't remember the name of it, but it has a red maple leaf on it. And it's at Longo's. And when you read the label, yeah, it's grown
Yeah,
in.
it's a
Uh-huh.
living lettuce. It has the earth still at the.
Oh no, this doesn't. I mean, you can buy that too.
Yeah, okay.
But this is definitely, you know, replication or whatever what you would normally get from California.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things, it's like cucumbers. One of the biggest producers of greenhouse cucumbers is in southern Ontario.
Oh, I
And
didn't
when the
know that one.
terrorists started to hit, there was a kerfuffle because they were actually shipping a large portion of their production to the U.S.
Mhm.
So, you know, people have adjusted their production depending, well, obviously on tariffs and whatever. So I don't know if they pivoted to something else, but it's kind of cool, you know, the market conditions do drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to decrease waste, the closer you get it to home, the more you, only thing that's more friendly to Mother Earth is to do it yourself, right? And that's something that we do at Parkview Neighborhood Garden. You know, volunteers come in and you teach them, you know, and people go back and grow tomatoes on their balconies at the condo, or
rooftop gardens, is that also, should be promoted more? Or?
yes, yeah.
Anybody here grown tomatoes in their balcony?
Yeah.
I call it the $12 tomato because that's, I paid a lot of money and then you finally get the one tomato.
But it was good, wasn't it?
It was really good, I waited a long
Yeah, it
time.
was a real tomato. It tasted like a tomato. So
I'm gonna,
I have just one quick summary,
okay.
and so these are questions. So things to think about are, how can I cut down the cost of acquiring a product? Well, you know, walking over to Parkview is a lot cheaper than driving down to St. Lawrence Market, and everything's overpriced down there anyway. How can I select lower impact or lower cost products? And that's where community comes in. You know, you could do research. Oh man, who wants to research, compare prices here and there? Well, there's websites that can help with that, but also talking to your neighbors and friends. You know, who doesn't want to share their opinion with you about something? Just ask them.
food,
They'll
too.
tell you. Yeah, that too. Also, can I keep something longer? The longer you keep something, you know, I have shirts that I bought in the, actually I think the oldest shirt I have is from the 80s. But it only lasts because I try not to wear it too much. And yes, it still fits. Sorry?
It's probably better quality from the 80s rather than now. It's very
Yeah.
much now.
I wish I could have something from the
Yeah,
80s.
it was cotton. So keeping things longer is another way to, you know, to decrease waste. And then at the end of the product's life, find a good home for it if you can. You know, maybe it's something, okay, I just had to get this new t-shirt, but I only have room for 10 t-shirts. I have to get rid of one. So there are all sorts of places that you can donate things, Value Village, Salvation Army. In our building, we have a Canadian Diabetes Association, a CDA bin.
We have one for, what is it called?
Oasis.
I could not believe when I first brought that in, like the first month, it was filling up, you know, once we announced it and people started, you know, it was spring, maybe that had something to do with it, spring cleaning time. It's a huge bin. We asked and got it put on rollers, especially. If you ask nicely, they'll put it on rollers so you can move it around. And we did that because we were rearranging things, and it's come in handy being able to move it. So it was filling up very quickly. Finding a good home for things. is another way, because maybe you're tired of it. You want that new whatever it is. But places like Value Village, you go in there.
Be very wary of Value Village though, because it is for profit.
Yeah, it's not a
And
charity.
so,
Yeah.
I used to take stuff there all the time, but I go to Salvation.
Same here.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
Same here.
yeah. They did a CBC, I think, did quite a expose on,
Mhm.
anyhow, sorry.
That's good.
Marketplace is the other good one.
Yeah.
I had, just a small aside, my brother's girlfriend moved in recently, so they were joining households. The stuff she sold on Marketplace, amazing for her, I can't believe that people spent money in gas to drive from the complete east side over to her place to buy 6 used plastic plates. Literally, like she.
But was it
put on
Tupperware?
and people buy it. It's,
Uh-huh.
so.
Yeah?
It's.
There's no accounting for
nobody has
taste.
a use for this and you throw
But
it
I
out.
would worry they're casing the joint for all the silver that's under
Yeah.
it.
Could
Was
be
it-
as well.
Was it,
Anything if the price is right.
was it marketplace and free,
Marketplace.
the free stuff?
No, you
Facebook
gotta buy it.
Market, oh, this
Yeah,
was
you gotta
for purchase.
pay for it. Some people give it away too.
Yeah,
or
'cause there's a lot of free
I'm
stuff
just
on it.
saying it is a good place. You think maybe nobody has a use for your used things, but it's surprising
yeah.
what people actually
Absolutely.
want or need.
Mhm.
So it's just another way to get rid of it.
And there's also such a thing called a tool library. Have you heard of that?
A what library?
Tool.
Oh, yes.
So you don't have to go and buy a tool if you're only gonna use it once perhaps, so just go and borrow it. I don't
Some
even know if they
libraries have
charge
it.
anything, and then you return it. So it saves a lot of purchasing of expensive items.
Yes, I just found out that our library has some of that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, excuse me. And, I had so many tools when I lived in a house, and in a condo, I don't need them. But some of them were beautiful tools. Like I have some things that were my grandfather's. I'm not getting rid of those. But, like a radial arm saw, it's that big. I didn't need that.
What library do you mean?
Sorry?
You say your library does that?
Our library, yes.
It does
Does
as well.
in
I
your
believe it.
building or
No,
the
at the
normal
library, I
building?
believe.
It used to be located below it, but now it's somewhere, it's a separate
Yeah, I'm not sure where they went.
building. I forget what it is.
But the other thing that the library has, there are sewing machines, and
Yes,
sergers,
yeah,
3D printers.
Musical instruments.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I have too many anyway.
My husband's borrowed a piano from there, a keyboard.
Ah,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
Okay.
So, thank you for coming. It's a pleasure meeting you all. That's, I think, enough coming from me. If you have anything else that you'd like to ask, I'm not in any hurry to leave.
No, I was just wondering, what about the clothes you put in these big bins, oil citizens, so what happens to them?
It depends on where they go, what bins they are. There are some that are for specific organizations. When I looked around, CDA, Canada Diabetes Association, was the one that had the least money going to manage the effort.
Least footprint, carbon footprint.
No, we're talking about money.
Cost.
So,
Oh,
the costs.
Just financial.
So of what they do with that, most of the money went to the Diabetes Association. And the smallest amount was being used to manage the whole thing.
Like in terms of administration.
Right, administration of the
Same with
program.
Salvation Army, they have a very low administrative cost.
Right, yeah.
But the big diabetes boxes, they go directly to Valley Village.
Oh,
Did you?
Yeah.
The Diabetes Society goes
Yeah.
to Value Village.
Yes.
Diabetes Association, CDA?
The one that has those big boxes and it says diabetes at the
Oh,
top, that are.
Yeah, because they used to collect when I lived in a house, and I was told that afterwards it went to Value Village.
so they must have a partnership.
There are different ones.
Yeah, because they keep, they keep 30%, or they give in 30% of the value of what's in the bin,
Oh.
and then Value Village.
Oh, okay, so there's a partnership. Or
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go back and research CDA again. See if we.
Mhm.
So, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Paul.
Nice
Thank you
chatting with
very
you.
much.
I learned some stuff too.
Appreciate it,
And
appreciate that you
thank
made
you,
this
Judith.
into a community by greeting everybody and by name, that's important.
Oh, don't
because-
quiz me now.
No, I won't, but thank you. And obviously, the more we talk, the more we talk. So thank you very much, Paul, says thank you.
Oh, thank you. This is the kind of thing that I like to do. You know, these things that I've worked on for years. Like to share that before those brain cells wither away and to use them. That was very. Sorry?
They'll be recycled.
Yeah, and they're organic. So. All right.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you all very much for your time. Nice to meet you.